Hello knockouts, Tonya TKO here, and we're going to be talking about this viral tweet from Kayla Nicole where she basically said that as African Americans with our 70% out of wedlock rate that we need to stop having bastard babies. I'll read the whole tweet for you and the epic dragging which has ensued. And I want to get your take on it. Before we jump into that, let me introduce myself. I am Tonya TKO. I'm a self-love specialist on TonyaTko.com. I'm also a coach, and I'm in the beginning stages of my matchmaking service where I am connecting African-American women with African men here in the United States. So if you want to be in the preliminary stages of interviews for this startup, make sure that you come over to my website, TonyaTko.com. Drop me a note and I'll get you in the bunch for the people who's going to be in the first intake batch. So make sure that you go over to Amazon.com and get my book of affirmation self-love. It's an amazing book to help you rewrite your subconscious program. And we are all at different stages of the journey. Me, myself, I use this book to be able to help me continue to break through my limiting beliefs, to be able to go after my dreams, to reinvent myself, to continue to push forward in life, making more money, making more moves. As you know, I just came back from a month in West Africa. In order to be able to do the things that I have continued to do, it really has been with support of the affirmations in this book. I kid you not, this is what keeps me going forward, moving forward, and rising and elevating. This is available on Amazon, so make sure that you go over there and get that. All of the links are below. Let's jump into this tweet. My goodness, my goodness. All right, so this is what she says exactly. She says 70% of African-American children are born out of wedlock. Please break the cycle of making bastards. Make marrying a traditional belief again. And then she goes on to say, nothing is wrong with not wanting to be a statistic. The F I look like feeling bad for wanting better and speaking on something so disappointing. Listen, there are thousands of replies. On my Facebook page, which is Tonya TKO TV, make sure that you like the page and follow it over there. I have all of the tweets that I feel need recognition for what is the general direction of this conversation. And a big shout out to Latrice, who sent this story to me to discuss. So let's jump into talking about this. Oh, you know what? One more thing before we jump into even dissecting this. Somebody came out with receipts about this young lady. A person named Woke Living says, she reposts a post from Kayla Nicole where she says, been thinking about going to see my dad lately. How do you make an appointment to visit a loved one in prison? It's been 14 years since he last saw me at 4 years old. And so somebody else responds, what a bastard, LOL. And there are different people who are going around saying, oh, some people don't want to be married. Oh, why did this, that, and the other? Just being married doesn't mean that you won't be a single mother. You could be married and be single. And people are just dragging her, calling her all sorts of names. As you can imagine, they're fighting against it. And I'm just going to say this. I'll just say this for the record, right? All right. You know what? Let's say you don't want to be married. Let's say you say, oh, that's the white man's constraint. Oh, you don't want to. There's lots of us. Listen, I talk to women. I'm a coach. I speak to women and men every single day. There's some people who are just not interested in marriage. That is fine. And much like I told you, I start businesses all the time. I start new businesses to be able to help me stay reinvented behind the scenes. This is an excellent solution for some of you out there who do not want to be married. Create a business partnership. Go get some legal paperwork drawn up where you create a legal entity where you both can be able to decide what happens with the assets. You can also draw up contracts to decide what happens in case of a medical emergency, or someone needs a power of attorney, or rights, etc. when hospital visits come around. Because let me tell you, there are people who are like, oh, it's just a piece of paper. No. It's a legal binding contract. And that particular legal binding contract already has stipulations and addendums already written into it. What you can do is you just can create an entity where both of you are partners, so that any assets that are bought within this partnership are able to be distributed equally. If during the dissolution of this partnership, if things begin to dissolve, or you want to break up the partnership or whatever. Because what we have is we have people who are living together for decades, buying assets, having children. I know of a couple, they're senior citizens now, at least they were, and one of the partners died and foul play was suspected, and the other partner could not order an autopsy. Couldn't order one. You're sitting up there having been with a person since you were 30, and now you're 65. And when worse comes to worse, and you need to show up and represent in the hospital and be able to make decisions on your partner's behalf, and the people in the hospital tell you that this person who you were common law married to does not have the legal right to make decisions for you. You could be hooked up to all types of machines. You could be brain dead. There could be a lot of things going on with you. They don't even have the legal right to come into the recovery room in some cases. It varies state by state. So this is what I'm saying. We got people buying properties together, buying vehicles together, living together, filing taxes, etc., with no legal rights. And there are a lot of women who get their rights absconded by men who are sitting around talking about, oh, I don't want to be married. And you know what? This also protects men. And if you are able to, like I said, the marriage contract already has stipulations pre-entered into what we know as marriage. But when you create your business entity where both of you are partners and you are able to draw up the exact things that you want in that partnership to be able to be handled legally, etc., and that protects you and it protects your partner. You can also talk about which assets you do not want divvied up in case of emergency or whatnot. You can do that as well. However, if you have a partner who wants to be with you in a long-term relationship, sharing children and listen, sex makes children. If you have a person who wants to stay in partnership with you, but does not want to be able to have any types of protections for you or the offspring that you create, what happens to assets? What happens to assets if one partner passes away and you have children together? How are the children taken care of? It's just irresponsible. It's irresponsible. And people are dragging this girl talking about she may be a bastard too. And I'm thinking to myself, what better person to speak about it than a person who is directly affected by what these decisions and lifestyle choices are having on the children. She's 18 years old. She hasn't seen her father since she was 4. So she knows what it's like to be raised in a household without her paternal figure present. And she's speaking out, and people are making all of these excuses for why we don't need, that the paper don't mean. It means something. Take your ass to the morgue, to the hospital. Try to make decisions for somebody without that paper and see how much it really does mean. It's a lot better than a person like me speaking on it, a person who was raised in a 2-parent household, who doesn't have the concept of what are the painful points of being raised in a household without a parent present. I mean, this is epidemic. This is part of the reason that I am concentrating on matching Black American women with African men, primarily West African men, because there's a culture of marriage and family which is already embedded in West Africans. And many of us women, we need to be inducted into a family that has values as such. And I've been doing a lot of research behind the scenes about what are the benefits, first of all, what the market is like. And there's a tremendous amount of demand on both sides because there are benefits. And I'll tell you all of this, like once the website is created, we'll talk about what are the benefits that a West African man has with being with an African American woman, because some of us may not know. Well, you know, we know why we want to enter into the culture and get indoctrinated into this family lifestyle. But why, on the other hand? But there's a lot of, look, we were meant to be together. These are our ancestors, our lost people. We were separated, and it's time for us to come back together. But listen, personally, if I had to say my opinion on what this young lady is saying, I may not have agreed, and she came back and she took back the word bastard. But I definitely think that this is something that we've got to look into. And look, yes, I understand. There are people who are together in long-term committed monogamous relationships who are not married and they produce children and all this other stuff. But you do not have the legal protection. My point is, go get the legal protection. And if your partner is adamant against having legal protections to cover you and any offspring, then that's another conversation that you need to look into with your partner in and of itself, because these are some red flags. If this person just has a general fear of any type of commitment, is this the type of person that you really want to share assets with, that you really want to share DNA and share genes with? It's irresponsible. It's irresponsible. On that note, I want to hear your comments below. I want to hear your feedback. How do you feel about it? Look, you could be on either end of it. I know how I feel. I want to hear how you feel. Are you on Kayla Nicole's side, or are you on the draggers side? And I'll see you in the comments below. Peace. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you are on the mailing list at TonyaTKO.com/subscribe. Make sure that you are getting your notifications, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.